Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy GZTV, and today we are talking about the 2011 science fiction comedy horror film directed by Drew Goddard and its directorial debut. At the time, produced by Joss Whedon and written by Whedon and Goddard. So, yeah, there's a decent amount of people in the movie. You get Kristen Connolly, you get Chris Hemsworth, Anna Hutchison, Jesse Williams. A lot of really dope characters, a lot of really good actors. It's a pretty good cast. So yeah, we're just gonna quickly talk about the plot, the critical reception. I gotta get some homework done, go to the gym, do a couple of things today. So I'm not gonna be in a rush necessarily, but let's get into it. So the plot starts in an underground laboratory where engineers Gary Sitterson and Steve Hadley discuss a mysterious ritual after a similar operation in Stockholm just ended in failure, leaving only their facility and one in Japan to undertake the process, and with the latter holding a perfect record. And we're not really sure at the beginning what they're referring to. The movie does a good job of kind of obscuring it and kind of like hiding it from us, I guess. So yeah, then they kind of reveal what it is, and there's an interesting kind of like commentary on Hollywood and movies and stuff like that. So then we get to American college students Dana Polk, Jules Luden, Kurt Vaughn, Holden McCrea, and Marty Mikowski who are spending their weekend at Kurt's cousin's cabin in the woods, which is why it's called the Cabin in the Woods. So from the lab, Sitterson had to leave remotely control the cabin and manipulate the students by intoxicating them with mind-altering drugs. It's like a movie. Like it's pretty much like something that's happening in real life, but they're trying to turn it into a movie. They're trying to like entertain fans of their company or whatever. It's like a reality TV show, but like manipulative, which maybe that's how reality TV shows actually are. And the creators of this movie are kind of trying to create that imagery for us. It's really interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. So, from the lot, yeah. So, in the cabin cellar, the group finds bizarre objects, including the diary of Patience Buckner, a cabin resident abused by her sadistic family. So it's like go to the cellar, go to, like there's people like whispering in the background trying to influence them to do things. You know, the cellar door opens. There's all these different like devices to get and all these different like manipulations to kind of get these people to go down to the cellar and check things out and look at clues and like set up for the story of this real life movie. I don't know. It's really weird. I mean, we've seen it and it's like a simulation. We've seen it in movies before, but it's pretty interesting how they do it here. I mean, you think you know what's going to happen, but then it just takes a turn. That's why it says you think you know the story on the poster. It's really interesting. It's not a bad. It's a pretty solid movie. But yeah. So Dana recites incantations from the diary and inadvertently summons the zombified Buckner family who like died in the cabin before or something. I'm not really sure. It's super weird. They don't explain it that well, but it's interesting. So Hadley releases pheromones to induce Kurt and Jules to have sex outside because, again, that is what the audience wants to see. They want to see sex scenes. They want to see these characters make dumb decisions and get scared. It's a horror. It's like a horror simulation. So they are attacked by the zombies and Jules is decapitated while Kurt escapes. So it sets up to be like one of those teen slash college kid flicks where like people die throughout the movie and it's like there's the final girl. It's really interesting. So Marty discovers concealed surveillance equipment in his room before being stabbed and dragged off by a zombie. They obviously lured the zombie there because they don't want the characters to know that they're living in this like sort of a simulation thingy, you know. So the lab workers learn that the right in Japan has also failed, meaning that the American right is humanity's last hope. Like they have to make this work. It's such a weird thing. Like it doesn't feel like it has a purpose. It's kind of weird. Like what's the point of this movie? But at the same time, it creates like a comedic atmosphere. So Kurt, Holden, and Dana attempt to escape in their RV, but Sitterson triggers a tunnel collapse to block them. So yeah, the tunnel, this tunnel that they drove through, like in the mountain, kind of breaks down, and now they're stuck. So Kurt attempts to jump a ravine on his motorcycle to seek help on the other side, and there's kind of like some foreshadowing at the beginning of the film of like a bird flying and hitting the simulation wall or like the reality wall that separates actual life to like this kind of open world, I guess, that is this cabin in the woods. You know. So he tries to seek help. He crashes into a force field, falls to his death. It's kind of funny. Like, it's just funny. It's like sort of dark humor. So Holden and Dana then realize that their experience is staged and controlled. And this is where they realize, yeah, we're in a simulation because of this wall. So Holden is killed by a zombie while driving the RV, causing him to crash into the lake, but Dana manages to escape. So now it seems like Dana's the final girl. And by the way, at this point, we still have like a half an hour to 45 minutes left in this movie, and you're kind of sitting there thinking, what the hell are they going to do next? Surely the third act shouldn't last this long. But it turns out that this wasn't even the third act. So the lab employees, seeing that Dana is the only survivor, celebrates the success of the rite, but then discovers Marty is still alive. So now Marty being alive kind of creates this weird, awkward situation with the story, and obviously on purpose. So Marty takes Dana to a hidden elevator he discovered. They descend into the lab and discover a large connection of different monsters and cages that are used for different rites, for different movies. I don't know why. I don't understand the point of it, but it's weird. So Dana correlates them with the objects in the cabin cellar and realizes that the objects determine which monsters are released. So like they could have picked up any item in that basement and summoned them. And like this whole time, it's funny because the people in the lab were kind of holding like these wagers, like these bets, like who is going to be revealed? Who is going to be? What kind of monsters are they? Are they mermen? Are they octopus? Are they deer, moose? What are they? Zombies? And it's funny because one of the employees is like, "Oh, I said zombies," and then the one was like, "No, you didn't say zombie redneck torture family or something like that." Super funny stuff. This is a pretty funny movie. So, cornered by security personnel, the pair release all the monsters, which wreak havoc and slaughter the staff. Hadley is killed while Dana accidentally stabs Sitterson. We assume he died, but they want to kill these people. They put them in this damn simulation. So really the funny part is they wanted them dead the whole time. So now we're kind of getting to the third act stuff. So Dana and Marty discover an ancient temple where they are confronted by the director, the person that's kind of like the overlord that kind of sees everything. So she explains that worldwide annual rituals of human sacrifice are held to appease the Ancient Ones, a group of cruel subterranean deities, which is super weird. Like something we would never imagine in real life. It's super weird. So each region has its own ritual, and the American ritual involves the sacrifice of 5 archetypes. The whore, Jules, the athlete, Kurt, the scholar, Holden, the fool, Marty, and the virgin, Dana. So it's all like archetypes from horror films pretty much. Like I feel like that's the movie doesn't like directly point at that, but I feel like that's what they're going for. So the order is arbitrary as long as the whore dies first and the virgin dies last or survives. Again, that's how it works in films. Like that's how it works in the entertainment industry. So the director urges Dana to kill Marty to complete the ritual, as all other rituals failed that year. They need one to be successful. They keep trying until one succeeds. So Dana is attacked by a werewolf while Patience kills the director. Marty proceeds to kill all except Dana. So now these two are alive. They failed the ritual. They flipped the script. Cool. So deciding that humanity is not worth saving, Dana and Marty share a joint, which is hilarious because Marty's like a big pothead. He's like the fool, the weed guy. The temple floor collapses and a giant hand emerges from the ground, destroying the facility and the cabin as the world ends because they couldn't get this ritual done in time or whatever. It's super weird. But yeah, I think we can just get into the review. Super interesting story. And the review is going to be long because this is one of the most talked about movies of the time. I think it's pretty damn good. I didn't really understand it at first. Like when I was planning this video out, I was like, do I want to like talk positive about this? I don't know. Like I wasn't really sure if I liked this movie that much. But I mean, The Cabin in the Woods is an astonishing meta feat, capable of being funny, strange, and scary, frequently all at the same time, which is something that not a lot of movies are able to do. It's a really good movie. Like I would say it's above average for a horror film at least. The Cabin in the Woods has been constructed almost as a puzzle for horror fans to solve. Which conventions are being toyed with? Which authors and films are being referred to? Is the film itself an act of criticism? Like, there's a lot of things to figure out. There's a lot of discussion points to have with this film. It's fiendishly funny. Kristen Connolly and Fran Kranz for their performances they were great. I mean, by turning splatter formula on its empty head, Cabin shows you it can unleash a fire-breathing horror film without leaving your brain or your heart on the killing floor. So yeah, even when the story sticks firmly in standard horror territory, this particular group of attractive kids is especially fun to spend time with. You'll have to see it. I mean, you really have to see it if you love horror, hate horror, or have any interest in seeing how the genre can function as a playground for something completely fresh. Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitworth Ford are involved, though in roles that are more fun to discover as you go along. They do get a lot of the best jokes, though, and their scenes show a lot of Goddard's skill in handling the rhythm of a scene. Yeah, I mean, Jenkins and Whitford did great. I mean, they clearly delight in the verbose script. Cabin's a smart send-up of horror movies and mythology with a peculiar relish that testifies to the movie maker's love of genre film. A smart, sarcastic, and deliriously fun journey into the belly of the horror beast. The witty banter, creative twists were great. I mean, clippy, quippy dialogue that lifted Firefly and Buffy the Vampire Slayer to cult status. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's dope, man. I don't really have much to say. I don't want to talk too long here, but I mean, it's an incredibly clever and fun take on classic horror movie tropes. The cliches come at an onslaught pace and a wonderfully conceived story that gives a bigger than life and fascinating explanation for why so many horror movie cliches exist in the first place. I mean, by the time the ride is over, director Drew Goddard and co-writers Goddard and Joss Whedon will change course 3 or 4 times, nodding, winking, but never losing momentum. Really solid film. I gotta go though. I don't really have much time to just talk about this for the next 5 minutes. It's really good though. Like, just know I have really positive things to say about it. It's not the greatest movie in the world, but it's not like, I can do without it. Like, it's not like I have that take on it. Would I watch it again? Probably, because I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty tired yesterday, and I fell asleep during some of the parts, and I don't think that's because I was bored of it, but just it was. I don't know. I'm tired, man. I didn't catch everything. There's a lot of really like cool Easter eggs in here, kind of like making fun of the genre. So it's pretty cool, man. I'm out, guys.